I must tell you, in preparation for this interview, I know Miss Warwick, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try it, but I know if it's something that comes up that she's not wanting to talk about, because you're a woman of standard, and I know that you know how to hold your own. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you being the strong woman in the industry. I really do, and we celebrate and salute you on the many years that you've had in the business.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, guys.
Welcome to the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. Now, here's your host, author, speaker, entrepreneur, Cornell Jermaine.
Don't make me over now that I do anything for you. Don't make me over now that you know how I adore you. Don't pick on the things I say, the things I do. Just love me with all my faults. The way that I love you, I'm begging you. Don't make me over now that I can't make it without.
Thank you for joining me here today. We have a very special guest. She is a multiple Grammy Award winner and esteemed iconic figure in pop music. Please help me welcome the legendary Miss Dionne Warwick. Miss Warwick, how are you today?
I am absolutely wonderful. How are you?
Doing very well. You have so much you can share, and we're going to talk about as much as we can in the allotted time that we have. But your career spans over, 50-plus years, and you're still in the industry, still making an impact. And we want to share because you're back with some amazing stuff here in 2019. So we want to talk about that too. But let's start from your beginning. You come from a long line of singers, and not just singers, but recording artists. Your siblings, your parents, your mom had a recording group with her siblings. Tell us about what it was like growing up in that environment.
Absolutely amazing. I come from a gospel singing family, and I think some of the greatest voices that anyone ever heard. I feel very privileged to be able to even say that, because it's true. And, of course, I have cousins, my sister, my aunts and uncles, everybody in my family sings. So it was quite a learning experience for me.
So was there an expectation for you to become a recording artist?
A recording artist, not so much, but I knew I was going to sing, that's for sure.
Wow. So how did you get into the business of recording?
I did a lot of background work and demonstration records for recording artists of the time. And because of the demonstration record that was sent to Florence Greenberg at Scepter Records, my recording career began.
Wow. So what was it like walking into the booth? You had done it for demonstrations and stuff, but what was it like walking in as a solo act? Was there a lot of pressure?
No, not really. It was a case of something that I did not really anticipate being or doing. I had a hit record called Don't Make Me Over, and that started it all for me.
Yes, that song, I love it. And it's been covered so many times by so many people, but the one that you did, the original, is still relevant and amazing still today. You worked with legendary writers and producer Hal David and Burt Bacharach. How did that relationship form?
Well, I met Burt while doing a background session for the Drifters on a song he had written with another songwriter Bob Hilliard. And he approached me after the session was over and asked if I would be interested in doing demonstration records and doing more background work on songs. He'd be writing with a new songwriting partner, Hal David, and that was the beginning of our relationship.
Now, anybody who studied your music and know the impact that you've had on the industry, the music that you created, not only with Hal David, but even after them, it really broke out in the industry as a different sound, during your period of music, because many who looked like us were doing soul music in that time. Did you get a lot of resistance when you were releasing this pop, different type of sound for our community?
No, not necessarily. In fact, it was much embraced that there was another kind of a sound happening. And I felt very, very blessed that it was appreciated and sought after.
I want to ask you about a couple of tracks during that period. Walk On By, that's a popular one and one of my personal favorites.
If you see me walking down the street and I start to cry each time we meet, walk on by, walk on by. Make believe that you don't see the tears, just let me grieve in private, 'cause each time I see you, I break down and cry. Walk on by, stop, walk on by.
Tell us about that track and how it came about.
Actually, Walk On By was a B-side. It's amazing. A contest was being held when the recording was released by a DJ in New York, Murray the K. And the other side of the recording actually was considered to be the A side, but Murray liked Walk On By better. So he did a nationwide kind of contest, pick the side that you think is the hit. And overwhelmingly, Walk On By became the hit.
Now, a hit it definitely was and is still. But there's another song that you did with a few great people in the music industry, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John. And this song became a huge hit, not only for R&B music, but just for the world, because it took on the AIDS crisis.
And I never thought I'd feel this way. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad I got the chance to say that I do believe I love you. And if I should ever go away, well then close your eyes and try to feel the way we do today. And then if you can remember, keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me. For sure, that's what friends are for good times and bad times. I'll be on your side forevermore.
Tell us how that song came about and how it became the song that we know today.
I was doing a project for Arista Records at the time, and Claude Davis asked if I would be amenable to doing something with Backrack and Carol Bear Sager Backrack. And I said, certainly. I was listening to songs that they had written, and came home from their house after a day of listening, and happened to be watching TV at the time. And I was watching a film called Night Shift. And at the end of the film, that song, That's What Friends Are For, was playing, sung by Rod Stewart. And as the credits went, I fell in love with what was being said, and come to find out that Bacharach and Bear Sager wrote that song. So the next day, when I went back to their home to listen to record more music, I asked them, I said, well, why didn't you play this song for me? And Carol made a statement that still resonates a laugh for me. She said, well, now 4 people know that song. I said, what are you talking about? She said, me, you, Bert, and Rod. So I said, well, let's let the world hear this song. You know, friendships mean an awful lot to me. And I said, you know, I'd love to invite my friends to be a part of this. And let's say the rest is her story.
Yes, it definitely is. That's What Friends Are For is still an iconic song, and a song that we need still in this day and time.
No doubt. No doubt at all.
Yes.
You know, although it is actually the anthem for the AIDS issue, it's also used in many, many different ways. That's how meaningful the song is. It's used at graduations. It's used at weddings, receptions. It's used as parties for friends. It's used for children's births. It's used for a lot of things, you know, that mean something. And that song is very meaningful.
Absolutely. Now, during your career, you also were associated with the Psychic Friends Network. I'm curious, how did that endeavor come about, and what exactly was your involvement?
I was the host of that show, and it came about during a period of time when disco and Donna Summer, God bless and rest her soul, was dominating the airwaves. They were not playing Dionne Warwick. They weren't playing Johnny Mathis. They weren't playing those who were singing the types of songs that were written for me during that period of time. So I had to keep a roof over my head, had to feed my children and me. And Psychic Friends came about through a friend who asked if I'd be interested in just hosting a show for a friend who was Linda Georgian, the resident psychic. And I said, sure, you know, and it gave me a living. I made a very substantial living from it. And it was a lot of fun.
I know during that period, many forgot that you were this iconic singer. Looking back at that time.
They thought I was a psychic. They all forgot I sang for a living, you know. All those kinds of things kind of went by the wayside. You know, I didn't refute the fact that I was a part of the Psychic Friends Network because I was seen almost nightly.
Looking back at that time, do you regret being associated with that?
Not at all. Not at all.
Aside from working with Hal David and being a part of so many big projects, you've had the privilege of working with some other iconic, legendary individuals in the music business, and many of them having personal relationship with. I want to name just a few and get your thoughts on your relationships with them and what it was like to work with them. First, okay. I want to name the legendary Sarah Vaughan.
Sarah Vaughan, I referred to as Aunt Sass. She and my mom went to high school together. So she was a part of our family, basically. I mean, I would see her almost every day. So she was very, very important to me and one of my mentors.
Miss Lena Horne.
Mama. Yeah, Lena Horne as well. She embraced me. She referred to me as one of her daughters and gave me a sage advice that I follow to this very day as I try to give to all those who ask. You know, be who you are. You cannot be anyone but you, were her exact words to me, and I've never forgotten it.
Miss Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh, wow. Another mentor. I've had the best in the world who embraced Dionne Warwick as their baby. She also happens to be the godmother of my youngest son, Damon. She was just one of the kindest women I've ever met. I hope I'm doing what she is looking down from heaven saying, okay, you're doing a good job, kid.
What about Mr. Frank Sinatra?
Poppy, that's who I refer to him as. I became sort of his surrogate daughter. He was one of my major mentors as well.
Wow. Now, I must ask about your first cousin, Miss Whitney Houston, who's also an iconic superstar of her time, and the daughter of your Aunt Sissy.
That's right.
There was a release of a documentary last year that made some strong accusations.
That is the biggest farce I've ever seen or even want to talk about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Do you have any sentiments that you want to speak regarding Whitney Houston?
The best that ever happened. She's an iconic, incredible, wonderful young lady. She had a voice of an angel, and I know she's up there carrying on with the rest of that choir that's up there in heaven. We miss her very, very much. Always adored and loved her, and will continue to do so.
And before we move on from that, I have to ask, because many don't see her anymore, how is Mama Sissy doing? Is she doing well?
Sissy's doing fine. You know, I see her as frequently as I possibly can when I'm at home and not on the road. And she's okay. She's hanging in there.
Amen. Now, speaking of family, you're releasing a new project called She's Back, which is produced by your son, Damon Elliott. What is it like seeing him step up and carry on your music legacy?
I'm in love with it. I think it's the best thing that could have happened not only to him but to me as well, to see him walking in the footsteps that he desires and successfully so. I'm having a wonderful time recording with him sitting in the control room. You know, the only difference in him producing me and any other producers I've had the opportunity to work with is that when he wants to hear something different from me or he wants to make a comment to me, he calls me Mommy, not Dionne.
Wow. So he still maintains that respect, and that's so beautiful.
No, absolutely.
What can listeners expect from this new project that you're working on?
Oh, I am so in love with this project. Damon decided, this is where I need to be at this point in my life musically. And he gathered some great songs for me to sing by some great songwriters besides Backrack and David. There's songs written for me by Ashton Simpson, by Brenda Russell. I have a couple of duets that I'm very proud of, and I had the opportunity to meet for the first time this young man, music soul child, and one of my babies that I call him, Kenny Lattimore. So I think everybody's going to love this CD. I am thrilled with it.
Wow. I didn't realize all of those people were associated. That is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love the CD. I know you are.
Wow. I would ask, do you consider yourself a legend in this business? Do you realize the impact you've made?
I've been called that. And, if people want to consider me to be a legend, it's amazing. Because the people that I consider legends, I still feel I have a long way to go. And those are people that I aforementioned, Lena Horne, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra. These people mentored me, and I'm standing on their shoulders. So I think I still have a couple of miles to go yet.
Speaking of those miles, what keeps you going? You're touring at 70-plus years old. What keeps you going?
Yep. I love what I do. I love being able to sing the songs I sing and have people who are sitting in those seats in the auditoriums that I do my concerts in, hanging out with me and enjoying what I give them.
That's it. Well, for industry individuals that are up and coming that want to, I guess, have a lasting or even establish a legacy such as you have, what would you say to them?
That you have to earn it. It's not given to you. And once you earn it, it's yours to keep.
And in earning it, it means a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I look at my peers, people like Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle, Johnny Mathis. I mean, these people have been in the industry as long, if not longer, than I have. But it was not given to them. They earned every step of it.
I must ask, being that you come from a different era of music, do you like the fact that now artists can present themselves without having the need for executives and labels? Are you embracing that whole aspect of the business?
It's quite different for me. It's something that I'm just being initiated into. I haven't had the opportunity to completely digest the way the industry has just turned itself around.
Wow. Well, Miss Warwick, I appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate the contribution that you've given us in music. Miss Warwick, we celebrate you. I think it's so important that we take the time to let individuals like yourself know the impact that you've made on our lives. I will be letting people know that Miss Warwick is back here stronger than ever.
Thank you so very much.
Well, you came in up in me, and now there's so much more I see. And so, by the way, I thank you. Oh, and then for the times when we were apart, well, I close your eyes and know the words are coming from my heart. And then if you can remember, shining, knowing you can always count on me. For sure, that's what friends are for. In good times, in bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. Oh, that's what friends are for.
Well, this has been the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. Until next time, let your soul be made whole. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Build on Beauty podcast. For more information about our host, please visit CornellJermaine.com.